Hello, I'm Simon Calder. This is Back to the City, and for this special episode, I'm very excited to be joined by Alex Atkinson from ASTRAL Samara. And there are two reasons why we're putting this out right now, today. That's because there's a brand new song from ASTRAL Samara, which is called Innerenvironment.
That is a working title right now.
Yeah.
I might change it out.
So yeah, by now, it's coming out today, and by now perhaps it has a different title that works even better. but for a working title, it's great, and we'll be delving into that and especially the process that led and the theory behind that, which comes from a particular workshop that you did with Pauline.
Yeah, Pauline Oliveros. She also just passed away very shortly after that workshop occurred. And I think,
the end of last year.
And I think that kind of had, like, it was a big thing for my house, like a lot of people at Y World were involved in the workshop too. She kind of is at that intersection of using kind of a meditative, reflective practice in her creation of sound, and like in a way that like really embraces a certain amount of like freedom in a way that isn't like the anxiety inducing freedom, but the type of freedom that I think like is like kind of working with your surroundings and like responding to them and like accepting kind of, you know, like your positioning and like the freedom that or again, like freedom is like a weird word for me.
So yeah, let's think about this. You just distinguish this kind of freedom to anxiety-inducing freedom. Is that like the anxiety-inducing freedom? When I hear that, I imagine the idea of being a completely autonomous person who is complete control. Yeah. It's a fiction, obviously.
Yeah. I think that's kind of.
And it's an anxiety-inducing fiction because you feel, well, I'm not in control in this of my environment. Yeah. But I'm kind of expected to be because of our
or I think
culture.
That I should be. You know. Yeah. Like, and I think like, well, especially I think like right now, like we're in a period where we're so overwhelmed with information, and I think like, you know, just in a lot of ways we have the perception of like almost infinite choice. Yeah. But that just isn't the case. You know, like we have also so many like strange stipulations on our reality, and like those are unavoidable, I think. And so like her kind of practice is about like deep listening.
Yes.
And so then I think like that kind of is like this way of like really then understanding what is actually going on around you and being able to like then take or work with the elements that you are actually responding to. And, you know, it feels more honest, and like through that somehow she's able to like make her scores are like very simple kind of sets of meditative instructions, you know, like listen to a sound that you hear in the room or in the woods, wherever you might be, and then either try to mimic that sound or like wait until a sound comes from within you that is a response to that, you know. So there are these massively open, like it is totally like a very free as you as the player in the piece to almost make whatever sound you want to make, you know.
Yeah, she had the deep listening band.
Yeah.
And they would specialize in performing and recording in resonant or reverberant spaces, like caverns and cathedrals and stuff.
And like I think they even took it like very literally with the deep listening she was talking about. I think the first time they recorded an album called Deep Listening. I think that was kind of the onset of it, and like they went into, I can't remember exactly what it was, but they just went like underground into like this big like silo underground, and like, you know, it just like sounded so intense down there. And I think like that, like the level, something that she's all about too is like kind of like how she starts a lot of the meditations, and I think maybe came from like that type of like when you can hear so much resonance in the room, the sound expands beyond, like, you know, my voice makes a sound and then you can hear it then becoming a part of the environment, and then that then is like kind of this way of like hearing the environment too, you know, like you're in it and it's in you too, like the sound is coming back into your body, you know.
I should have I've been working so hard, I'm trying to get this room right where you see all the sound absorption foam. I should have torn it all down on this occasion.
Let it come in, it's cool.
When Jeremy Warden, who is on a couple of songs on Zonal Flows, came in, it was the first day that I was putting these up, and they were, because it was a relatively hot day too, they were falling down on top of it.
So the environment was really interacting with the interview there.
Yeah, exactly. I was doing a bit of research on Pauline and on deep listening, and I read that in 1988 she descended 14 feet into an underground cistern to make a recording. Maybe that's the deep listening recording. And already, of course, there would have been some theory behind doing that, but my impression from the research was that was such a meaningful experience to her that then it instigated much more reflection, and a lot of her career is then exploring the deep listening and sonic awareness. And I read that deep listening, it was succinctly described as an aesthetic based upon principles of improvisation, electronic music, ritual, teaching, and meditation. So if that's an account of deep listening that you agree with,
I think so, especially if that's her words, she is the authority.
The horse's mouth.
So and I think that to me, that makes perfect sense. It resonates with me, I think, for sure.
So which aspects of that resonate? Which aspects of those resonate with you the most? And in particular with this new piece that we're about to listen to and that you're putting out today, electronic music, ritual, teaching, and meditation, and improv. Which of those have inspired you or informed you the most?
I do think all of those, the experience with her was, it was just really impactful, and it was kind of I had been maybe thinking about a lot of those things, somewhat actively, somewhat passively. I think I'm a naturally kind of more introspective, more calm. I like to be somewhat calm and meditative, and I like to meditate.
It's nice to not be anxious.
It's nice to be calm. It's something I have to work on a lot, but so I think kind of that meditative, inviting that into your music making practice and as kind of this jumping off point seemed like something that just kind of perfectly fit into where I was maybe going or thinking about going, and it was just kind of this push in the right direction, and it is a ritual. Making music is such a ritual, and I think being aware of the ritual of it kind of helps you create how she's creating these constraints that are the loosest of constraints, but through that you put yourself in the right mindset or into the right sort of sonic awareness, or what I mean, heightening your certain senses that might help kind of make a process possible. I think you can come to different results when you're in a different headspace, essentially.
So, and the constraints centrally involve awareness of an engagement, collaboration with the context. With the space. Is that
I think essentially, and then definitely being able to respond to it in a way that feels less. I think what I love about it so much is that it's a true interaction. You're respecting your surroundings and kind of to me obviously I care about climate change and these kind of issues.
As comes up in the Northern Spark.
Exactly, project, and I don't know, just politically, try to be aware and try to live my life in a somewhat coherent way that when I think about the theories or whatever that I'm thinking about, I want to be interactive and responsive, and kind of, I think gives you a certain ecological responsibility if you're giving your environment, giving okay, I'm listening to my guitar before I play it, and I'm trying to respond to the sounds that it makes, and you're giving it this agency, which it has either way. Guitar makes the sound a guitar makes, and it's not only, I mean, you can do almost infinite things with a guitar too, but if you're listening to it, it will tell you something, and I think,
and what one guitar is telling you is different from another. So
and it might tell you something in a different room because it'll sound different, so I think that type of awareness takes you to a different place. And I think it offers kind of a way to make the human impact feel less domineering, you know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to dominate my environment, I'm trying to understand it and work with it in a way that if it could talk and be I like this song too.
The guitar is happy with how it's coming out, and the room is happy too. And so it's less Alex.
Yeah, like, I'm just gonna smash some chords. Like,
It's just Alex doing Alex. It's
Yeah.
Alex collaborating with the room and the guitar.
Hopefully, yeah.
Although what Alex does is great.
Thank you.
We're well versed in the theory now.
Cool.
So now let's focus on your experience, for the time being at least,
Mm.
on the SoundCloud, the private SoundCloud that,
Sure. Yeah.
that I've been listening to. Thank you. It says intention and process, and you describe the theory behind the song.
Yeah.
And it says, in this piece, I directly applied the deep listening practices taught to me by Pauline Oliveros in an attempt to contextualize a meditative environment through short form song. So presumably, then of course, there is a specific meditative environment, a specific place that you're thinking of, is there or not?
I've been just thinking a lot about the voice and the idea of the voice, both musically and as the human voice, which is a musical voice as well.
Yeah.
And kind of like where we draw that like inhuman line, you know, like people are like, oh, like whatever, like electronic music doesn't sound human, it sounds electronic. And like to me, like that's like kind of, you know, a misnomer. Like technology is an extension of the human, you know.
Right, there wouldn't be technology if there weren't.
It's as much a part of us as we are a part of it. Yeah, that was maybe my focus, like my attention was maybe more thinking about the voice, and so then I kind of, you know, like was using the practices to jump off into that type of space.
We've got the human voice at the beginning and the end.
Yeah, it starts out sort of as a traditional rock song,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to play in that aesthetic, and that's what I like, the music that I like to listen to and play, especially live.
That's for about 1 minute.
Yeah, it's rather brief. Yeah.
And there's a refrain. I can't see what I don't.
Yeah.
Does that keep me alone?
Yeah, and I
Twice.
think
That's repeated.
Uh-huh.
It's a refrain. So we
Yeah.
get lulled into this full sense of security. It's a pop song with a recurring refrain,
yeah.
and then suddenly
it disappears. Yeah.
Now we're exploring something.
Yeah, and so I think then that section, kind of like I use the voice as like a rhythmic, like that do 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 do, like the kind of like weird little rhythmic is like a vocal of my own voice that I sampled and played out on a pad.
Interesting. So the human voice is there, but
Yeah.
it's not the human voice
Yeah,
because it's been made electronic.
Yeah, exactly. So that was kind of the first then like abstraction of the human voice, and then as that kind of fades out, I like time stretch it out and like kind of pull it, like rip apart that sample, and so that's where you get that like really digital kind of grit. It's like sort of quiet, but like there's like kind of like a very glitchy
Is this like
ambient section comes
Yeah.
in.
Okay. So yeah, let's go on a journey through the song.
Cool, yeah.
We'll explore the pop song component, the first minute, and we're immediately given something to kind of hold on to.
Yeah.
Words.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
in
And traditional sounding song form, instrumentation, all, you know, yeah.
And so, what's the significance of these words? Why I can't see what I don't?
That was improvised.
Okay. And this is your voice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Reb also is singing
Yeah,
with
okay.
me. And
Who is also involved in the
Northern
ecological
Spark,
research?
and she lives in my house. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's an improvising. Yeah, we're like deep collaborators for sure.
Improvising,
Improvising ecosystems,
which is something that a
That's-
workshop at the U.
it's a group of musicians and artists and researchers,
Yep.
and we go out into natural spaces, if you want to call them that. Then we go out and we, with that kind of understanding of our you know environment that we're in, we then go and improvise. And yeah, I try to maybe as a form of research and processing, you know.
You work within and with the environment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The natural, unlike this unnatural environment.
Everything's a natural environment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's I like this. I agree. There's a recurring focus in this conversation so far. It seems like the divide between like nature and culture is being critiqued. I can't see what I don't. Does that keep me alone?
Yeah.
What's it mean to not see what we don't?
Yeah, so I think it's just like maybe that's just like I just have been thinking a lot, and that kind of carries on from some other songs I've been writing.
From zonal flows or after?
After another track that I've some live stuff that I've been playing called Point of View, and so it's kind of been like I've had like a bit of a I think that's just a theme I've been exploring, and it's kind of just like a statement on, I have this maybe like strange struggle of like individual essentialism and socialism, and like
a struggle between those things.
Yeah, a bit. And like I think as a healthy human, you have to be able to embrace both of those things.
What is individual?
Essentialism. Yeah. To me, it kind of means that your worldview, your experience, your theory and practice all begins and ends basically with you as the individual.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think that there's a certain amount of healthiness that can come from that. You have to care about yourself.
Yeah.
And
self-care.
And like I think you can only have the perspective you have.
Yeah.
Is kind of what I'm trying to say with that.
So you've got a conflict between care of the self and
then
thinking of yourself as part of a broader community.
Yeah, and as a humans are pretty chaotic agents, and like we do have something we're learning from climate change and the era that we're in is that like we have the capacity for like creating massive damage, a massive impact in the very least. Like we've proved ourselves we're powerful beings. We have impact on what's around.
We can destroy ourselves and everything. Yeah, like look how powerful we are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're so strong. Great. But so like trying to ride that balance, I think of like, okay, like I can only understand what I can understand. I've lived the experience that I have, and that's I can't get out of that. No matter how hard I try, like I'll read all the books that I can, but like, I'm only going to be able to read the books I can read or whatever.
So as Alex or as Simon, there's by virtue of being the one individual, there's more stuff that we don't know than that we do know, and there's no possibility of making that not be the case.
Yes, I can never get inside your head.
And does that keep me alone?
Yeah.
Okay,
so it's a simple,
does being
simple
Simon
statement.
keep me...
Only Simon.
Only Simon, exactly. Likewise with Alex.
Yeah.
Is the song as a whole providing an answer to the question? I can't see what I don't. Does that keep me alone? Does the song have a perspective on that?
Yeah, I don't know if it has a direct. I don't think I was trying to answer that question. I think that I was maybe, like I said, it was improvised. So I think I was posing it to myself.
Yeah.
And
so the conflict between the individual essentialism and the socialism.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is like the socialism component where initially it's a question for yourself.
Yeah.
And now we're like.
We're all out there thinking about it. Yeah.
Okay, great. And so we have that recognizable voice at the beginning.
Yeah.
What's the significance of the fact that it does emerge again at the end?
Yeah, so I kind of like wanted to like pull it apart, like I even like almost physically through the computer be able to pull apart that audio sample, and then like like we're exploring even the literal sonic space inside this sample essentially. And then kind of toying with other vocal uses, like Reb and I come back in with that like rising like thing. And then again the vocal sample is then chopped and looped, and like takes on a very human characteristic. I think like it's like emotionally expressive and like kind of silly and fun feeling and like frenetic energy and all. And like,
so even though it doesn't sound like our voices sound before, like just to us now in this room, there is something essentially human about the playfulness. Yeah,
and it just it's very dry too, like vocal sample, and I think it just has a certain quality that to me like felt very traditionally like human sounding, and like it has those energetic qualities, but then being able to still then like do something completely inhuman with it in that way of like you can never sing that part, but like it's still there and it still sounds human for whatever reason,
Yeah, how interesting. Again, it's like getting away from the technology. It distances us from a true humanity, a natural humanity.
Yeah.
You're using technology to explore, delve into different aspects.
Hopefully
experience.
Expand that range of thinking and of possibility, and I think I'm obviously that's what technology is doing in general. It's giving us tools to do things that were harder to do or impossible to do before they were around.
So whereas I began by asking you, what does the lyric mean, and is the song providing an answer to the question? It sounds almost as if from what you're saying, the treatment of that sample, of that one sample, it's almost shifting us away from thinking about meaning, like what does a sentence mean, and exploring a different aspect of our humanity besides the I need to know what this means component. Would you agree? Is part
totally.
Of
I think a lot of what I think about too is our need for meaning is like a big theme that I think about. And I think that maybe meaning is just an extension of our like desire to dominate our environment.
Right.
And again, and like I think that we also inherently are meaning-making machines as humans, essentially. You know, I think we can't help but apply so much meaning to every interaction. You know, and sometimes that's totally useful. It's survival. You know what I mean? And like social survival and everything. Like it's very important. But I think
to be able to recognize
see some patterns and respond to them appropriately. You know?
Be able to switch off that compulsive need to understand.
Like I think that's still such like a human-centric view. It's like we're anthropomorphizing our even information flow, and like is that useful? You know, like sometimes, like I said, for survival, but like maybe we don't need to do that as much anymore. Maybe we can like kind of be more playful in our like pattern recognition. You know, like accepting that. And especially with things, I think, getting more unstable as we go on in our course of human development, like
development.
Not progress, but some type of continuity. Like, so like I think, just being able to maybe not need it to be exactly the same every time, you know, and accepting that like meaning can be pretty fluid.
Yeah. A lot of these themes are central to zonal flows, the record, which in the second half of the interview we'll be focusing on that and on the theory behind that, courtesy of the I don't know if you've had a chance to talk in detail about your manifesto.
I have not.
So that you're about to have that chance.
Cool.
But I'm going to try and switch off my desire to understand what this new song means, so a transition is happening now as we're imbuing ourselves in. It's the first of two times that we hear inner environment in the episode.
Cool.
We can hear it coming in the background right now. Later on, in the center of the episode, between the two segments, we'll just allow the song to be without our voices over the top of it. But it's coming in the background. So we're in the pop component.
Okay.
So obviously we can't hear it.
I'm imagining. I'm there.
But here so I can't see what I don't. Does that keep me alone? What else? What's happening sonically in this section?
Yeah, so I think that's there's a lot of kind of I'm playing the drums, Reb is singing with me, and I've sampled my voice and used it, played it out on a drum pad as kind of the main rhythmic melodic kind of element. Let's see, I think I'm playing some guitar and bass.
Guitar is playing you as well.
Yeah, we're collaborating. And then as it progresses through that, then I kind of time stretch out the sample. Yep. And kind of there's some keyboard, electric piano in there as well.
That's all in the first minute pop bit.
Yep.
We get water, I think, coming in about 1 minute 20.
Yeah, there's kind of and that was taken from an Improvising the Ecosystems.
Like sound.
Yeah, it's like a sample from just a handheld tape recorder.
Yep.
And I kind of wanted. I was hoping that would maybe sound like you're kind of walking through some water, like you're having that motion and kind of context for the transition. Okay,
given the significance of location, of environment, we've been talking theoretically about that. Why is walking through water something that is important for this song?
I just think water illustrates so much to me. As a way of being, even, like being like water.
Flow.
Yeah, flow, exactly. And I think it kind of like water, you can directly see waves. I think it kind of works in that, like, in the way I like to think about the universe, or like the material kind of reality. It just like looks like how I think it probably works a lot more than what I like the traditional view of an object.
Right.
And so I think like having that context of walking through the sound of like walking through water.
I was thinking about metonymy. It's all like that represents the whole better than say this table.
yeah. And then like your position and motion through it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So, and as we continue our motion, our journey through the song, by this point we have the strings. What stringed instrument is this?
That's a cello.
It's a cello.
Played
Who's
by
playing the cello?
Hilary James.
Oh, Hilary James.
Yeah.
Who's you are now in the new band of Hilary's.
I am. It's called Bathtub Sig.
Yep.
And that's her songwriting project, and the songs are phenomenal.
The new band, Bathroom Sig.
Bathtub Sig.
Bathtub Sig.
Like you're chilling in the water.
Yeah, water.
Yeah.
Flow.
Yeah. It's all there.
So is this going to be the second performance, or there's been some in the meantime?
She played a few with her and Brent from Who's the Awful Truth. Also, and they played a few shows, kind of stripped down sets, and then I joined the band, and Addie Stry has been playing with us too on bass.
Who is also in Astral Samara.
She is, and was we've been also
and many other bands.
long-term collaborators there too. So that was our first full band show. It felt good. It was great.
That was in my absence, but then today, June 8th, being today, you're performing where?
Where is it? I don't even know. I do know. It's at the Triple Rock.
The Triple Rock.
And it is...
As indicated just here. So this is my DIY green screen.
Great.
Here's all of the information.
Yes, the Triple Rock Social Club with...
what does it say?
I can't read the words.
This room isn't interacting, collaborating with us very well, is it? But it's because of my unnatural use of technology.
It's all falling apart. But it's with, I think, Chris from Murder Shoe's new project. I think it's called something like Blood Sculpture.
Wow.
And I wish I knew more. I don't off the top of my head.
But the viewers know all about it.
Yes.
Courtesy of this visual.
Perfect.
So that's happening today. So I suppose that's the third thing that we're celebrating in our conversation today.
Cool.
This inner environment, which we're debuting on the show, and then of course the Northern Spark project, which is happening in 2 days' time.
Yes.
On June 10th.
Yes.
The other main focus is something you're doing at Northern Spark in a couple of days' time, June the 10th. Can you explain what you're doing for Northern Spark?
Yeah, I'm working on a project that is associated with the kind of grand challenges at the university. So obviously, climate change would be a grand challenge. And trying to address these types of issues.
What's the name of this?
It's called Tunnel Vision. So it's like kind of this large tunnel structure constructed from like greenhouses.
Constructed from greenhouses?
Yeah. So like it'll be like large kind of dome-shaped archways, and there'll be kind of like collages of visual context, like some shadow puppetry, some like collage-y elements of material.
Who's constructed that and created the collages?
That's what the class. There's a class that's associated with this project, and they're all kind of, that's their focus on like the research and all that type of.
So then the class reached out to you.
Yeah. So I guess they had a sound artist in the class, but he got some like incredible opportunity to go up and like do a bunch of kind of, I'm not exactly sure, but it seems like some research-based experimental recording somewhere I don't really know.
Okay.
But he got some great kind of job opportunity. That
Good
was,
for him. Good
yeah,
for you.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, like it worked out because I was like, well, I would love to work on this project. So Reb just then reached out to me and was like, we need sound.
Yep.
This piece is super sound beast. And so like I was like, wow, I would love to make a giant sound installation about climate change, obviously. And so then the thought is that, I'll kind of create these like sonic fields. I'm going to have 14 different speakers that are all going to have individual loops on them that will play throughout the whole night. And so you'll walk through and I'll hopefully provide this like sonic experience of what it's like to progress through the kind of timeline of the Industrial Revolution till the present, and how that's affected, like weather cycles and war, our own social environment that we've created, and kind of give you that context, hopefully give you that experience too. I want to do some things that feel almost nausea-inducing and disorienting. I think I want it to be, a bit
dystopian.
Definitely not a pleasant experience all the time. But I also hope that it is still, nice to experience in a certain type of way. Like it's, and then so then you come in and then there's like the present moment in the center, and then you'll kind of have, I think they're still totally parsing this out, but kind of having this, then you'll go after the present moment, kind of this period of reflection of like, okay, here we are, we've gone through all this change, and now we're here. And then we maybe have, okay, like, do we keep doing what we're doing? Like, we're dismantling the EPA right now, like, we're doing these things that, like, what if we continue like this?
Some of us are more active than others in that.
Yeah, well, sure, yeah. One person specifically, maybe.
Yes.
But
it's, the laughing is, like, obviously like a coping mechanism.
Yeah,
there.
totally, yeah.
Okay.
But so then kind of like, then I think at the end is like, we kind of have the option to look at both sides. Like, what if we embrace sustainability as a culture, and we embrace our own agency as the actors that are kind of causing these, we're having these impacts on the environment, and we need to address it and think about it. And like what if we all stopped eating meat? Meat's like such a simple way. Like it's the meat industry is like the biggest, like the largest carbon footprint is created by factory farming, essentially.
Yeah.
So it's like, if we just don't support that industry, which we don't need to, like, we don't need to eat as much meat as
it's not
we
essential.
eat. No,
it's not essential to eat any.
No, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
so I've, like, I don't eat meat. A lot of people don't eat meat. It's not even that difficult to not eat meat, really. Yeah. Especially in Minneapolis, where we have, like, so many great vegetarian restaurants and everything.
Exactly.
But, so it's like, whatever. Like, we have that one path of, like, okay, like, I can just do what I can do, or we can try to do what we can do as a whole society, as, governments and all that, if we can get them to come around to our side too, like, what would that look like, and what would that feel like and sound like, you know? And then,
so you're exploring that and creating an environment perhaps where we naturally find ourselves
maybe more harmoniously interacting, and then so then on the kind of flip side, and I think that exit tunnel they'll kind of interact, because we know that people are trying, obviously, and then we have that kind of, it is like a give and take of going between the, like, destruction and sustainability of our future course as humans, or whatever we're trying to think about generally.
Brilliant. Okay, so in 2 days' time, and what time does that kind of installation, is that the right term for it? What time does that installation
It'll
begin?
be for the duration of North Spark,
yeah.
which it's an all-night festival, so it'll be, I don't know what time, maybe 7 p.m.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure when it starts.
And where is Northern Spark this year?
It's pretty much all over, kind of on the centered, seemingly generally, the campus is a big part of it. Like, that one will be outside of the Wiseman.
Brilliant. That's a good space for it.
Yeah, I think it's gorgeous. And then I know it stretches along a lot of West Bank and kind of beyond into the few neighborhoods over in that region.
Yeah.
But it's pretty expansive this year. So
Yeah, cool.
It goes along the Green Line a lot, I know. So
Yeah.
trying to utilize that too, which is cool.
Yeah. So that's where to be in a couple of days' time. Meanwhile, today, of course, the new song is coming out. We can hear it quite loudly, a lawnmower.
Yeah.
So luckily, just letting one's environment be one's
here.
environment
Yep.
is what we're going to be talking about momentarily. So if you can also hear the lawnmower, that's intentional. It's all part of the art. Any house sounds, that's all. It's all part of the thing. And then in the final segment of the show, then we'll be focusing on Astral Samara in general and zonal growth.
Right on.